It's Nancy from Nancy True Homes, and it is the last week of April, around April 25th. And yeah, how do we solve our housing affordability problem? I know I keep coming back to this. You guys have to remember between 2012 to 2019, we had really nominal house growth. It was a very steady sort of, it was a steady growth period, a period of economic expansion for our country. Now, between 2020 and 2024 moving forward, I think we're expecting, unfortunately, some parts of the country are going to have significant price increases. If you look at that 5-year period of 2020 to 24, right? If we look at roughly 4% house price growth every year for the next 5 years, that would be fabulous because, of course, that would sort of keep on pace with salaries and wage increases. But some parts of the country have actually far surpassed that. We were seeing 11%, 14% increases in some municipalities, which has been attributed to the shortage of inventory. Okay. Now, listen, I think a lot of people talk about the idea of recession, and I want to take 2 seconds and define how we talk about it, because when we talk about the recession, the Great Recession of 2008, okay, absolutely, from a real estate standpoint, that was when we were dropping below 4 million in sales per year for real estate. Okay, so less than 4 million units were actually, passing hands, right? So it's really interesting because I think a lot of folks feel the same way about this particular market. While we might not be seeing, the credit collapse, we might not be seeing, all the foreclosures and job, and sort of, and job losses. We are, however, seeing a ridiculously low number of units, which kind of feels the same as that 2008 recession, right? So we're anticipated to do what? Between 4 to 4.6 million units this year. That's very close to those recessionary numbers, right? And you guys have to remember that prior to, the pandemic, pre-COVID, in 2019, I think we did between 4.7 and 5.3 million. That was more the range of units that we were accustomed to. So yeah, we're down anywhere upwards of about possibly close to 1.3 million, possibly more. So yes, it feels recessionary, and I think that that's one of the things that you're hearing a lot is recession, right? Please understand that this is going to continue to feel this way because for most folks right now, they have plenty of equity in their homes. They have spent their lives loving on renovating, taking care of, lovingly maintaining the homes that they've been in for the past 2 to 15 years, right? And the interesting thing about it is that they don't have to sell. Right? Most people right now who are choosing to sell are people who are going through divorces, estate situations, relocation, they're distressed. They're doing it for a reason because they must sell. But for most of the folks, and I've gone on a ton of listing appointments, most of the folks are just like, if we can't get the number we want, we just won't sell. We're pretty comfortable where we are because we have lovingly made this house what we want it to be anyway. And we've got clients who are just saying, you know what? I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to put an extension on my house. I've got all this equity in it. I'm going to take out the HELOC, pop on a family room in the back. So I think that, there's this expectation that we're going to be flooded with homes because there's going to be a recession. Well, there's a lot of behaviors that feel recessionary, but so far we haven't really had all the recession things happen, right? And like I said before, most people, if they have equity in their homes and are not suffering from distress, are probably not going to sell. As a matter of fact, we've locked them in. We've gone and created this decade-long time frame where we put every single family into a house with a 30-year fixed mortgage. So we have given them their middle-class hedge against inflation, and now they're thinking, I don't know that I want to give that up. So it's been a really interesting situation. Listen, If I can't get those folks to sell, then it's very hard for me to get more inventory because, most people choose to sell their homes when they're ready to purchase something else, whether it's here, whether it's somewhere else, whether it's an upsize, downsize. It's usually the impetus is about purchasing something new, so they choose to list their home. Most people don't say, well, I'd like to list my home and then rent indefinitely, not really sure what I'm going to do. Most people don't do that, right? They want to do something specific, and so that's when they choose to sell. So a good, 25 to 30% of our purchaser market in this country is first-time home buyers, right? These are folks who don't have anything to sell. All they're doing is taking units out of the market, right? But not adding, inventory back into the market. So that's very interesting. And of course, as we all know, Gen Z, our first Gen Z folks, who are a couple of years out of college, they're looking, and they are starting to purchase their first properties. The great thing about it that's interesting to me is that they're not necessarily purchasing homes to live in, they're purchasing homes for investment, because apparently they are smart cookies, right? Love that, how smart cookies. So listen, we all know what's going on. The Fed has basically implied that we're over the middle hump, right, of this medicine that they're giving us, right? We're closer to the end than we are to the beginning. Great. Of course, they still manage to hedge their bets because they want to make sure that they can go ahead and do another quarter point rate bump if they so choose. And I was going to say that does look like it's going to happen, because the one piece that I feel like they haven't been able to achieve, look, CPI is coming down, inflation's coming down, they've slowed down the market, sales have slowed down. The one thing that they haven't been able to do is to get the jobless claims up, right? They want to see jobless claims up, because that will essentially, put us into that self-induced coma that I think that they're looking for. So we have yet to break 300,000 for jobless claims, and I think that that's what they need us to do. Between 300 and 350 is the target, 325-ish. So here we go. I do want you guys to know that active listings did once again not increase as of mid-April. We would have thought that we would be in the throes of a beautiful spring market by now, with just houses falling out of the sky. And no, that is not what's happening. Active listings are still falling. We seem to be in the longest wintertime seasonal, sort of seasonality that I've ever seen. It's kind of interesting, actually. We're still waiting. When is it going to turn around? Because at this point, it's starting to feel like this might be it. There might be no inventory turnaround. Gulp. I do want you guys to understand that low inventory doesn't necessarily mean that sales are down, okay? Because inventory is what's defined as, homes that are left over after a 30-day period, right? So in other words, if we have houses that have a day on market under 30 days, they don't really count as inventory, because what they do is they come on and off the market within that 30-day period. So they're kind of a wash, right? Inventory is usually defined by absorption rate, which is how long would it take for us to sell the properties that are left on the market at the end of the month at the rate at which houses went off the market during that particular month, right? I know that sounds really convoluted, but it's for those houses that have that longer day on market, right? And that's how we count inventory. So nationally, we're probably still looking at, under 3 months of inventory across the country. And if you live in parts of, the coast, like for instance, in our Jersey market, we've got towns that are at 1.2 months of inventory, maybe even under 1 month of inventory, because houses literally come on and go off within the month and they're just not even counted. So, but point being is that just because inventory reads as low, it doesn't mean that there's no sales, okay? Although I will tell you, it's still far less sales than we've been accustomed to in the past. All right, guys, a couple of things for you guys to look out for. it's been an interesting week. I'll just sort of wrap this up with this. The Case-Shiller Home Price Index came out on Tuesday, and turns out February we saw a little bitty tiny price bump. New home sales in March actually got published, and it looks like we sold 683K of them, which is kind of a significant uptick um, from February, where we only sold 623K, which I thought was interesting. Now, unfortunately, it all sort of comes back down to consumer confidence actually fell. The consumer confidence index actually came down a little bit. I think a lot of folks are very worried about the idea of a recession, because that is all everybody can talk about: recession, 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 recession. All right, guys. Sorry that I know that was a lot of information, and I'll keep you guys posted on new things that I hear, and I'll talk to you guys next week.